Hi everybody, it will be Monday when I post this video, so I have a big deal to talk about today. This is like a really big deal. This is something that not anybody else in the world is supposed to know about me besides my husband. Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you know what I'm going to talk about? Some of you might have a clue about it. Well, here's a little hint. So when we go through the temple and we get our endowments out, we get a new name. I'm going to talk about the new name. So you have to understand how this new name is a part of the cult behavior of the church. Cults will often give people a new name, and they do this for various reasons, which include severing ties from the person's past life, signifying becoming a new person, a way to control the person, such as with rebirth or like an adoption into the cult itself. I feel like since Mormons don't use or like go by this new name, it just kind of adds to the secrecy of all of it, because you promise that you won't tell anybody the new name. Wives can tell their husbands at a certain place and a time, and then they don't ever talk about it again. And husbands don't tell anyone, including their wives, their name. So it's my conclusion, after a lot of research, a lot of study, and listening to experts and historical experts and cult experts and such, that, the temple is all about secrecy, because when people share a common secret, it bonds them together. Not only was Joseph Smith using his secret temple ceremony to marry his wives without other people, including Emma, knowing about it, and yes, I legit believe that this is how the temple got started, and it kind of spiraled out of control from there, where Joseph was using these secret temple ceremonies to manipulate and trick these women into marrying him and saying, yes, there's this whole ceremony, it's from God, blah, blah, blah. And people found out about it, and then he was like, oh yes, it's for everybody. That is my opinion. That's the conclusion that I've come to from listening to all of this information. But when you have those kinds of secret ceremonies and things like that, it puts a lot of pressure on literally anyone who enters the temple, because they know something that other people don't know. Along with, the death oaths that we make in the temple, which are less obvious nowadays, but they're still implied, being privy to outside information or to inside information that not everybody has access to, it strengthens loyalties. It's also interesting to note that when we are told about the new name, remember, I didn't even know you even got a new name until my stake president told me about it a week before I went to the temple, and he wasn't supposed to tell me that kind of a thing. It is more common knowledge nowadays, though, now that we have the internet, but it's also not really typical. It's not something that they talk about in church. It's not going to be something that there's a lesson on. It's not a regular topic of conversation for elders quorum or relief society or anything like that. Everything we know about the new name is taught to us in the temple, and it's very small, very brief, and then you shut up about it. What we are told about it is that this is the name our heavenly parents gave us and what they called us by. Now, I say heavenly parents as sheer rebellion against the patriarchy, because in truth, God is basically a single parent. Heavenly Mother has nothing to do with creation or nurturing her children or anything as far as the church is concerned. She did her part to create our spirits and then is otherwise absent and mysterious. So when you get information and you think, wow, I'm going to find out, what they call me, my new name. And I'm not going to lie. When I learned about this, I thought long and hard. I figured it was probable that some names would be duplicates, I have a friend who has 3 daughters, and all of her daughters' middle names are Marie. And that's because her middle name is Marie, and she wanted to name all of her daughters after her and have them have a little piece of her to go forward with. We hear about families who, they have all of the kids, their firstborn son is named after their father. So all of these cousins have the same name as grandpa. That's a thing that happens. I mean, when I was in school, I had, 18 different Ashleys in my grade, and I did not expect that my new name would be like wholly unique or like some weird made up, godly language or something like that. I did expect it to be special to me. And I fully believed that God had a hand in all of this and that I was his daughter and he was excited to see me going through the temple and proud to be, giving me this bit of information that would help me know myself and to know him better. I didn't really appreciate how poignant that expectation was until like the exact moment when I was preparing this, because now I've been a mother for going on 20 years now. So, and honestly, this reflection just kind of fortifies for me how much there is not a God, because with my 6 children, a lot of people look at that and they think that is so many kids. Like, how do you love them all? How do you give them all the right amount of time and attention? And I get that. Sometimes it's super overwhelming. It really can be for me. And I'm by no means perfect at responding in exactly the right way to each problem perfectly, or giving them all the exact amount of attention that they need all the time. But it's always been so important to me to make each of my kids feel like individuals and to have their interests and their needs and their passions and everything like met with interest from me, as though it's a brand new thing, Sometimes it worked out and was very simple because like they all did things together that lined up. My older 3 were in the marching band for years and years together. They all had the same job at the same fast food restaurant together, and they could drive there together, or I could pick them up, or whatever. 2 of them are roommates now in college, and they have a house together. And my 3rd one is planning to join them after she graduates next year. So sometimes my 2 younger boys, they did jujitsu together. And so, that was another thing that that kind of makes things a little bit simpler when they have similar interests. But also, I've got some theater nerds who, they do that together as well, but they also sometimes hang out with different friends. They all have their own thing that they're doing. They have different projects, different kinds of homework. They take different extracurricular classes. Some of them need to constantly info dump about their special interests and about history or whatever. Some of them are super social, and others need, a lot of time on their own and a lot of space. So, many times I've spent hours at cross-country races where you kind of like cheer as they run off, and then an hour later you'll see them coming back, and then you cheer again for a few minutes while they cross the finish line. And in the meantime, you kind of just have to sit around and do nothing, so many times I've had to sit through the very, very long, tedious, repetitious 4th grade Utah history program. And at this point, I've seen it 5 times. It's the exact same every single time. Same dances, same script. My kids had different lines that they were given or whatever, but they were the same lines every single year. It's like seeing the same play over and over again with different actors, And every single time, though, I was there recording the dances and the songs, clapping for that kid in the program as though it was the first time I've seen it. If I had helped create, I have helped create 10 different science fair projects, which I loathe with my entire being. 1 for 5th grade and 1 for 6th grade for every kid that I've had go through that program. Clementine's only 2nd grade, so that's an upcoming thing for her that we'll still have to do again. So, but I've had to advocate for each of them for varying needs. All of them have different needs with doctors, teachers, schools, and etc. But with each thing that I had to do that I didn't like, and especially with everything that I got to do that I was excited for, I was there for my kids, and I treated them as though it was new to me and as though it was fun and exciting and special. And I did my best to make them feel unique and loved, and not like it was the same old, or that since I'd already experienced that with another sibling, that it wasn't important to me in their case, you know. I wanted them each to always know that they matter so much to me. So this just exacerbates the frustration that I had when I found out that the new names are not at all special or unique. They're just an algorithm. And for me, a person who was always chasing that confirmation that I was somehow special and cherished by God, and under the impression that, I was under the impression that someone in some part of this whole procedure received revelation specifically for me about what my name was. I was equally excited to receive this new name and to know that God named my spirit as his child. And then later, I was disappointed to find out that my mom and my family, some friends and neighbors who went through with me, also knew my new name. And that it wasn't special or a revelation or even a special secret just shared with me and my husband, but that all the women that day had heard and used that name for the person they were going through who was dead. Not that they knew that it was my name. Like, they give you a name in the day, the name of the day in private whispers in like this closed off curtained little room, and you kind of talk in a whisper like this. So I don't know if they realized that it was my name too, or if they also, like me, thought that the new name was like different for everyone. And I know clerically it doesn't make sense, because it seems like a lot of chaos, and like a rotating schedule makes way more sense organizationally. And that's what it is. You can actually Google the list of new names. It's like everyone who went through the temple on the 14th month of January 1993 to December 2013 is named Claudia, which is my new name. I actually really loved that name. Not everyone likes their new name, but I loved mine. Specifically, I had a list of names for my kids I wanted to use, and Claudia, with the pronunciation of Claudia, because I thought that just was so pretty, was on that list. And I did never use it. I don't have kids named Claudia or Claudia, because I found other names that I liked better. But also, like, I always felt like I'd be, like, in some way telling the secret that I wasn't supposed to tell if I were to use that name for a daughter, even if she didn't know that that's why I got that name. And since you don't talk about your name with your husband after you tell him that one time, and he's supposed to remember it forever, I'm not even sure if my husband would have remembered if I was like, I want to name this child Claudia. Like, I don't think that they would remember. I'm dead certain that Ches specifically does not remember what my new name was. I think he might now, just because he's down the hall and he can hear me. He'll be like, oh yeah, your name is Claudia. But I don't know that he would remember. But look, like, if you are not ready to talk about your new name, I get it, because we have been conditioned that that is a really, really big, scary thing. And if you're not ready to talk about it, that's totally fine. But it's another one of those secrets that I'm tired of keeping, So I don't think there needs to be secrets. I don't think that that's a secret or sacred thing. And so I'm talking about it. It's a method of control, and I'm done with it. So if you're a Claudia, please comment below. I'd love to meet you. Say hi. Let me know your new name. If you're not comfortable, that's totally fine. If you want to share your new name, if you want to break that secret and break that control, feel free to respond and let me know. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching. Think Terrestrial, and I'll talk to you later.